Champions Cup round of 16 has been finalised, folks. We'll go through some of the upcoming fixtures for the knockout stages, plus what was going on with the group stages, which of the competitions, the URC Top 14 Premiership, did the best, how big a factor was home and away, which kind of competition had the wood on the other, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on how things are looking. Now, I should say the current format of the Champions Cup is less than optimal, which is putting it kindly. It kind of sucks. It's like 4 pools with 6 teams in each pool, and you don't play everybody in your pool. You play one of the teams twice and 2 of the other teams once. It's not great. It's really not great. And I feel like it's exacerbated by the fact that now that we see who's going to play each other, of these round of 16 games, the 8 of them, 5 of them are repeats from the pool stages. Bordeaux's playing Saracens, we've seen that. Northampton's playing Munster, likewise. Bulls Lyon, Stormers La Rochelle, and Leinster Leicester. We've seen all these games before, which is kind of not what the knockout stage is supposed to be. Like, you look at the World Cup, just as an example. I know that had its own issues with the draw being made as early as it was. But once you get out of the pool stage, you don't immediately go into a quarterfinal against the team you just played in the pool. You might meet them again in the final or something like that, but you certainly don't just meet them at the very next stage of the competition. That seems counterintuitive as to the way our brains want things to go. Like my brain, I don't know the formatting, but my brain wants a competition where you got a pool, you play everybody in your pool, and the top probably 2 teams of that pool goes through. I don't know. That just seems logical. They used to have something similar to that. The only kind of things that were slightly strange about it was, I think it was the top 2 from every team, every pool went through, and sometimes the 3rd team, depending on the kind of overall ranking. So it wasn't perfect, but I feel like it was better than this. And also they didn't focus on having different teams playing different teams at the pool stages, by which I mean you sometimes had premiership clashes in the groups. Sometimes you had top 14 kind of thing. Whereas this group stage, to its credit, you haven't seen no like top 14, URC clashes. But yes, speaking of those things, it looks like the Premiership's done all right. I mean, the Premiership had 6 of their 8 teams go through. Top 14 was 5 from 8. URC was 5 from 8. So the Premiership is 1 team ahead in that regard. And the Premiership went 10 wins, 6 losses against the URC. And the Premiership went 9 wins, 7 losses against the top 14. So far, the Premiership holds an edge. Perhaps losing those teams that they did, which sucks for Worcester Wasps and London Irish, seems to have potentially bolstered the ranks of the remaining Premiership clubs by meaning the talent is a little bit less kind of thinly spread. The URC in the top 14, it went 9 and 6 with 1 draw, with the URC having a slight edge kind of in that regard. So the top 14 didn't outperform either of the other comps if we're just looking at kind of head-to-head wins and losses. Not helped by the fact that you had both Toulon and Stade Francais go winless in the competition. The URC had Cardiff also go winless, but like none of the Premiership teams went winless, and you also had 1 from each go for a perfect record. Toulouse, Leinster and Northampton all had 4 from 4 records in the pool stages. Home and away seems to be the biggest kind of defining factor, way more so than which competition you come from, because there's obviously a lot of variation from team to team. But there were 30 home wins, 17 away wins. So home teams, there was 1 draw as well, but home teams just won a lot more, which I think is as it should be. One thing I do find, which kind of sucks a little bit about the Champions Cup, is the amount of times we see B teams sent, especially to the away games, which I feel like increases the amount of home wins. You see a lot of teams just send the youngsters or the academy or just like the second choice guys. They rest the big guns. I mean, each team's got their own priorities. You might be fighting off relegation. You might be trying to solidify your top of the league spot in your own domestic competition. There's a multitude of reasons. It might be the travel factor. You're trying to not have guys, especially with the South African league. Now some teams, be it from South Africa North or down to South Africa South, Don't want to put guys through a strenuous ask. And sometimes I've seen fans of clubs behind that. Like I think when Sale Sharks went down to South Africa, some of the home fans, or the Sale fans were saying like, don't send Ben Curry. Like just let him rest. Don't worry about this game. We don't need it, which is not what you ideally want. Like me as a spectator, I've sometimes gone, oh, that looks like a good game. And then I've seen the lineups and gone, nah, I'm not going to watch that one. I'll watch something else. So, yeah, that's just one of those things. But, yeah, a lot of home wins. Premiership, the best of the three, but it's relatively tight in that regard. If you're dividing the URC by nation, like the Irish had 50-50 with 2 teams going out and 2 teams progressing. So, Ulster and Connacht went out. South Africa's 100%, both their teams went through. Scotland's 100%, Glasgow went through. And the Welsh sides are at nothing because Cardiff didn't win a game. But yeah, round of 16 matches, there are some pretty tasty ones, albeit there's only one fixture which you have not seen play this season because you got Toulouse Racing. They will obviously play each other in the top 14, so that's not like a new clash, but it is a local rivalry in terms of both being French teams, so there's a bit of extra bite to that. Same with Exeter and Bath. You see them play in the Premiership, there'll probably be a pretty good crowd because it is 2 English teams going up against each other. Then there's Harlequins and Glasgow, which is the one that's like the unicorn of the group. It's the unique one because these teams genuinely haven't played each other. They're not in the same league as each other. They didn't play each other in the group stages. Hooray! That's the kind of match that you would want more of, I would imagine, in the round of 16. Then you got Bordeaux, Sarries, Northampton, Munster, Bulls, Lyon, Stormers, La Rochelle, Leinster, Leicester, like I mentioned, which are all repeat fixtures from the pools. So, yeah, that is kind of bizarre. But that just is what it is. I do think the quality of rugby has generally been pretty good. We've seen some pretty amazing tries, some great differences in team tactics and variations and whatnot. It has been thoroughly entertaining stuff to keep an eye on thus far, but that doesn't mean it's perfect. And I know this is their new look format, and it's like the 3rd format they've tried within the last probably 5 years or so. Since I've been watching intently since maybe 2018, it's changed at least twice. So I guess they will be loath to kind of tinker with it again, but I don't think the current format is very intuitive, and I think the results of that format leave a fair bit to be desired in the amount of repeat fixtures especially. But anyway, you guys let us know your thoughts. If you're looking forward to the Six Nations, I've done a bunch of previews, several with some former players like Adam Jones and Bernard Jackman and Paul Gustard, Nick Easter. Talk to all those fellas if you want to check them out. They'll be in the usual spots. But yes, you guys let us know your thoughts on the Champions Cup, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.